The night Orion came back from London, the city of Atlanta was wrapped in that thick, warm stillness that only comes in late August. The kind of heat that sits on your shoulders like a hand that won't let go. He had been gone for 3 years. 3 years of video calls that cut out mid-sentence. 3 years of voice messages left at 2 in the morning because of the time difference. 3 years of, "I'll be home soon, Sade. Just a little longer." Sade had believed every word. That was the thing about her, she believed. Not because she was naive, not because she didn't know better. She believed because Orion had given her every reason to. From the very first night they met at a church fundraiser in Decatur, when he had quietly paid for the table of elderly women behind them without saying a word to anyone, she had known he was different. He was the kind of man who did good things when no one was watching. The kind of man her grandmother used to say God was still making carefully. They had dated for 2 years before he got the fellowship, a prestigious engineering scholarship in London that would open every door he had ever wanted to walk through. The night he told her, they sat on the back steps of her mother's house, and Sade had looked at the stars for a long time before she said anything. "Go," she finally said. "Go and don't look back. I'm coming back for you," Orion said. "I'm coming back and I'm going to make everything right. A real house. A real life. Just wait for me." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and she said yes. That was 3 years ago. What Orion did not know, what she had made absolutely sure he would not know, was what had happened after he left. It started 8 months in. Her mother, Mama Ruth, had a stroke. It came without warning on a Tuesday morning, the kind of ordinary Tuesday where nothing should go wrong. Dishes in the sink, soap operas on television, the smell of cornbread in the oven. Sade had found her on the kitchen floor, one side of her face pulled down like a curtain half drawn. The hospital bills came fast and they came hard. Sade had been working at a marketing firm downtown, a decent job with benefits and a desk by the window. She used the savings first. Then she took out a loan. Then she took a second job, tutoring high school kids on weekends. When that still wasn't enough, she let the apartment go. She moved back into her mother's house and sublet the extra bedroom to a nursing student named Patience, who was quiet and kind and always left a little rice on the stove for whoever was hungry. She did not tell Orion any of this, not because she didn't trust him, because she trusted him too much. She knew if she called and said, "I'm drowning," he would leave London. He would come back and give up the fellowship, give up the future they had both dreamed of for him, and spend the rest of his life wondering what might have been. She couldn't do that to him. She wouldn't. So when he called, she smiled. She said she was fine. She said things were going well. She listened to him talk about the Thames and the cold, and his professors and the other fellows, and she laughed in the right places, and she said good night, and then she sat in the dark and breathed. By the second year, the tutoring wasn't enough either. Mama Ruth needed physical therapy 3 times a week. The nursing student had moved out. Sade was behind on the electric bill. She found the hotel job through a woman at church named Sister Dorothea, who knew someone in housekeeping at the Grand Meridian on Peachtree. The pay was steady. The hours were early, 5 in the morning until early afternoon, which meant she could still be home for Mama Ruth by midday. She wore a burgundy uniform and pushed a cart through long, quiet hallways and made beds that other people had slept in and cleaned bathrooms that strangers had used. And she did all of it without complaint, because complaint was a luxury she could not afford. She did not tell Orion. By the 3rd year, Mama Ruth was doing better. The stroke had taken some things. Her left hand was slower now, her speech sometimes stumbled, but she was up and walking and sitting in her garden chair, scolding the birds for eating her tomatoes. The worst was behind them. Sade was still at the hotel, still paying down the last of the hospital debt, but she could see the end of it now. She could see the light. And then Orion said he was coming home. He landed at Hartsfield-Jackson on a Thursday evening. He had not told her the exact flight. He wanted to surprise her, he said. He had booked a room at a hotel downtown for the first night, because he wanted to clean up, get himself together, buy flowers, and then go to her mother's house the next morning and do it properly. He had a ring in his jacket pocket. He had been carrying it for 6 weeks. The hotel he had chosen, purely because a colleague recommended it for its location. was the Grand Meridian on Peachtree. Orion walked into the lobby with his luggage and his London coat and his heart full of 3 years of missing her. And that was when he saw her. She was at the far end of the lobby, near the elevator bank, pushing a housekeeping cart. Burgundy uniform, hair pulled back, head down, focused on her work, moving the way people move when they have been moving like this for a long time. Steady, efficient, without self-pity. Orion stopped walking. The man at the front desk said something to him. He didn't hear it. He stood very still in the middle of that marble lobby and watched the woman he loved push a housekeeping cart past a potted orchid and through a set of service doors, and something in his chest, something that had been light and bright and full of plans all the way from London, went completely, terribly quiet. He checked in. He went upstairs. He sat on the edge of the hotel bed in his coat and stared at the wall. His first thought was, I did this. His second thought was, she never told me. His third thought, the one that came slowly, the one that settled, was, she didn't tell me because she was protecting me. He knew her. He had always known her. And in that moment, sitting in that quiet room with the ring in his pocket and the city spread out below him, he understood exactly what she had done and exactly why she had done it. And it broke him open in a way he had no words for. He ordered room service but didn't eat it. He sat at the window and watched the city and thought about the 8 months before he left, when they were just two people in love and the world seemed entirely manageable. He thought about her voice on those late-night calls, how she always sounded steady, always sounded fine, always laughed a little before she said goodnight. He had taken that steadiness for granted. He had thought it was just who she was. He hadn't understood it was work, that every call she had been performing calm for him, that every I'm fine had been a gift she gave him so he could keep going. He didn't sleep that night. In the morning, he went down to the lobby early. He found the housekeeping supervisor, a broad-shouldered woman named Mrs. Evelyn, who had the energy of someone who had seen everything. And he said, quietly and carefully, that he was an old friend of one of the staff members, and he would be grateful if he could know her schedule. Mrs. Evelyn looked at him for a long moment. She looked at his coat and his luggage tags and the particular expression on his face that men wear when they are trying to hold themselves together in public. "You talking about Sade?" she said. He blinked. "Yes." Mrs. Evelyn studied him another moment. Then she said, "She starts her shift at 5:30. She'll be on the 4th floor till about 9. She paused. "She's a good girl, one of my best." She said it like a warning. Orion nodded. "I know." He went upstairs and he waited. He sat in the hallway outside his room with a cup of coffee from the lobby, and he waited until he heard the sound of a cart coming around the corner, and then he stood up. Sade came around the corner pushing her cart and looking at her clipboard, and she almost walked straight into him before she looked up. She froze. For a moment, neither of them said anything. The hallway was very quiet. Somewhere down the hall, someone's television murmured through a closed door. "Orion," she said. It came out like something breaking loose. "Hey," he said. His voice was low and careful, the way you speak when you're trying not to shatter something. She looked at her uniform. Then she looked at him, at his face, at his London coat, at the way he was standing there like he had been waiting specifically for her in this specific hallway, which she slowly understood he had been. "You knew," she said. "I saw you yesterday," he said, "in the lobby." She closed her eyes. When she opened them, she looked at the wall, not at him. "I was going to tell you, when the debt was paid, when everything was, when I had it handled. I was going to tell you everything." "I know," he said. "I didn't want you to come back early," she said, still not looking at him. "I didn't want you to give up, Sade." His voice was so gentle it almost undid her. "Look at me." She looked at him. "I graduated," he said. 3 years, full completion. Every exam, every project, every late night. I did all of it." He took a step closer, and I came home. She pressed her lips together. "You carried all of this alone," he said. "For 3 years you carried it so I wouldn't have to. You took care of your mother. You kept the whole thing from falling apart. You did all of that, and you still answered every call like you were fine." "I was fine," she said, and her voice cracked on the last word in a way that made it clear she was not saying it to convince him. "I know you were," he said. "That's what I mean. You were fine because you made yourself fine. You chose to be. And I He stopped, took a breath. I didn't see it. I should have pushed harder. I should have asked more questions. I should have come home sooner. No, she said firmly. That's not what I wanted. I know, he said again. That's not an excuse. It's just, I'm sorry, Sade. I'm sorry I wasn't here. She was quiet for a moment. The cart between them felt suddenly very large and very absurd, and she was acutely aware of the burgundy uniform and the cleaning supplies, and how many miles away this was from anything she had ever imagined for this reunion. She had imagined it at her mother's house, wearing something nice, her hair done, not this. You shouldn't have come up here, she said. Maybe not, he agreed. I have a shift, I know. I'm not asking you to stop. He reached into his jacket pocket. He held out a small velvet box. He did not open it. He just held it out between them and let her look at it. I just needed you to know that I already know everything, and nothing is different for me, nothing. You understand? Not a single thing. She stared at the box. Don't answer me now, he said. Finish your shift. Go home and check on your mama. Eat something. Sleep when you're ready. Tomorrow, next week. Whenever. I'll be right here. He set the box gently on the edge of her cart, between a stack of clean towels and a bottle of cleaning spray. I rebooked my room for the week. Then he picked up his coffee, went back to his room, and closed the door softly behind him. Sade stood in the hallway for a long time. Then she picked up the box. She didn't open it. She slipped it into the front pocket of her uniform apron and went back to work. Mrs. Evelyn found her at 9, when her shift ended, sitting in the break room with a cup of tea she hadn't touched, staring at the table. He came, didn't he? Mrs. Evelyn said. It wasn't a question. Sade nodded. Mrs. Evelyn sat down across from her. She folded her hands on the table. You know what I've learned in 22 years of this job? You can tell a lot about a man by how he waits. Some men wait like they're doing you a favor. Some men wait like they're keeping score. She paused. That man up there, he waited like it was just what you do, like there wasn't even a question. Sade looked at the table. Child, Mrs. Evelyn said, not unkindly, open the box. She went home at noon. Mama Ruth was in her garden chair, wrapped in a light blanket, watching a hummingbird argue with a feeder. You look different, Mama Ruth said, before Sade even reached the porch. I'm the same, Sade said. Mama Ruth watched the hummingbird. Orion called the house this morning. Sade stopped walking. He what? Called the house. Introduced himself very politely. Said he was back from London and wanted me to know he was here. Mama Ruth's expression didn't change. I told him the cornbread was getting old and he should come by before it went stale. Sade sat down on the porch steps. Mama, what? It's true. Cornbread doesn't keep. You're impossible. I'm practical. Mama Ruth looked at her then, really looked at her, the way mothers do when they've been watching their children from a careful distance for a very long time. Baby, you've been carrying this house on your back for 2 years. You did it right. You did it with grace. Nobody can take that from you. She reached out and put her hand, the slower one, on Sade's shoulder. Now let somebody else help carry. Sade was quiet. She looked at the yard, the tomatoes, the hummingbird, the old pecan tree in the corner that had been there since before she was born. Then she reached into her pocket and took out the velvet box and opened it. The ring caught the afternoon light in a way that made it seem, for just a moment, like something that had been waiting a long time to finally be seen. Mama Ruth looked at it. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then she said, very quietly, Well, yeah, Sade said. You going to call him? Sade closed her hand around the box. I think I might just go by the hotel, she said. She changed her clothes. She did her hair. She drove back to the Grand Meridian as the afternoon shifted into early evening, that golden hour when Atlanta looks almost impossibly beautiful. The light slanting through the downtown towers, everything warm and amber and slow. She went to the front desk and asked for his room number. The young man behind the desk called up to confirm, and a moment later he said Orion was on his way down. She waited in the lobby. He came out of the elevator in a simple white shirt, no coat, like he had been sitting in his room in ordinary clothes, doing ordinary things, just waiting. He saw her from across the lobby and he stopped. Then he kept walking, steady, like he had always known this was where they were going. He stopped a few feet from her. She held up the open box. He looked at the ring, then he looked at her. I have one condition, she said. Tell me, he said. You come for Sunday dinner, every week. My mother made it very clear. Something shifted in his face, something that had been held tight for a very long time, across 3 years and an ocean, releasing all at once. He laughed, quiet and full and real, the kind of laugh that has relief in it. "Cornbread and all, cornbread and all," she said. He took the ring from the box carefully, the way you handle something that matters, and he slipped it onto her finger and held her hand in both of his for a moment without saying anything. Outside, the city went on being Atlanta, loud and warm and full of people moving toward each other and away from each other, falling and rising, holding on and letting go. Inside the lobby of the Grand Meridian, under the light of the chandelier, Sade looked at the man who had come back the way he promised, and she thought, some things you wait for, not because you have to, but because they are worth every single day. She thought about the hallway that morning, the cart, the velvet box set down between clean towels and cleaning spray, the way he had not made her feel small, the way he had made her feel, without a single dramatic word, like what she had done was not something to be ashamed of, but something to be honored. She thought, God really does know what he's doing, even when you can't see the plan. Orion squeezed her hand. "Come on," he said. "Tell me everything, all 3 years. I want to hear it." And she did.